It's time for
DodgerHeads. What's up, everybody? Welcome to DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined once again by Anthony Witrado here on a Tuesday night and the last DodgerHeads Live before the 2026 season is officially here. Anthony, I have a sneaking suspicion you're ready for spring training baseball to be over with.
What gave you that idea?
How many reasons do you want?
Yeah, I was. Let's move this game along, please. It was too slow, and then 3 or 4 runs were scored total. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for the season, man.
Anthony's complaining about a 2.5-hour spring training game, and little does he know that Bruce and I did a post-game show after a 3-hour and 50-minute marathon on Sunday night. So he's texting me in the 8th saying this game needs to be over. I'm like, my friend, let me introduce you to my Sunday night when it was like the 4th inning at 7:45 p.m.
Yeah,
so
that's
we are all ready for regular season baseball, for games that count. For with all due respect to the James Tibbs and the Zach Earhards of the world, we are ready to see Shohei Ohtani play 9 innings. We're ready to see games that count and the Dodgers take things seriously. So Thursday, it's coming right around the corner. Major League season starts tomorrow, Yankees versus Giants, but of course the real season starts on Thursday when the Dodgers take the field for opening day. Anthony and I will be here post game. We may have a friend or two joining us depending on how things shake out. So we appreciate everyone, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, who hopped on with us. Thank you for being with us live. As we pointed out, we're early. It was a post-game show. The game ended early, so we're starting at 7:40 instead of 8 o'clock. Thanks to all the people after the fact via podcast. We appreciate you as well. We got a super chat right off the jump. Aaron says $20 says Jeff watched the game on mute because his favorite third base coach Dino Ebel was mic'd up. Dino seems like a great guy. I got nothing personally against it. I enjoyed having Dino mic'd up for this one. I thought there were some interesting nuggets. I was hoping we'd have like a controversial send at third base at some point in this game. I don't think the Dodgers, I guess Espinal reached third at the end. Otherwise, I don't even know if the Dodgers put a guy on third base all night.
Yeah, I don't think so. He was good though. I thought he was he got good questions to answer. I thought that was a big part of it too. So it let him kind of showcase what he's an expert in. So that was cool. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought one of the questions they asked him towards the end was about the IKF play in the World Series and kind of his take as a third base coach. And it was funny because like a couple sentences in, he mentioned that he's friends with that guy. And I was like, okay. But then I was like, he kind of still was pretty critical of how they handled the situation in Toronto, which I was like, I appreciated that he was honest. And he was like, yeah, I don't, he's kind of like, I guess maybe if that's how they teach it up there.
I like when he was like, he said he's watching and he goes, I was like, what are they doing?
Yeah, amazing. I see some people in the chat saying this. I would have liked towards the end to at least know who was hitting for the Dodgers at a couple points. There's some guys with big numbers and no names on the back who come to the plate. And I'm just like, we're mid Dino Evil conversation. Can we at least get like hey, this is, I recognize most of these guys. Like, oh, Emil Morales is in the game now. Thanks for the heads up.
The booth is ready for the season to start too. I don't know if Dino knew everybody who was hitting at that point.
That could be fair. I'm trying to, Chase Harlan, I think was the guy that he came up and I'm like, yeah, I got nothing on who's at the plate right now. It must have been Harlan because I think I would have recognized Morales. I might not have recognized on first glance, but yeah, it was pretty funny. It was just like, all right, I guess that guy struck out on 4 pitches. So he doesn't have a name on the back and he struck out in 4 pitches. Maybe they're just saving me the trouble of knowing his name. So let's talk a little bit about the game. Plan for the night. We're going to talk a little bit about the game, mostly about a guy named Shohei Ohtani who pitched, Justin Robleski who pitched. We're going to ignore the Dodgers offense as much as humanly possible tonight. 6 base runners, 5 hits, brutal night for the offense. Then we're going to have, I don't want to say another Roki Sasaki conversation because as much as it feels like we're saying some of the same things, at some point the conversation has shifted, and I think the conversation has shifted on Sasaki. And then one of my favorite segments of the year, we're going to do bold predictions. I told Anthony to come with 3 or 4. My plan was to come with 3. I think I have 10 written down. So who knows how stupid of things I'm going to say at some point in that segment. But we have to start here, Anthony. There's a gentleman by the name of Shohei Ohtani who pitches for the Dodgers. He recorded 12 outs tonight on the mound. 11 of them were via strikeout.
Yeah.
I tweeted that somehow Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher, is underrated. And that wasn't a joke. I actually think we fail to appreciate how good this guy is on the mound.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that go into that, right? Because I think you're right. What are you drinking?
Spindrift.
Oh, I thought you had like a Cutwater or something. My mouth was
just a Spindrift here. You know, a little sparkling water, tiny bit of juice.
There you go. Now I think you're right with that assessment of Ohtani, the pitcher, and I think there's a couple of reasons. I think one, for Dodger fans, we've never got a full season of him as a full-time pitcher.
Yep.
So that's one reason. And two, the world, aside from last year, which, was kind of a different thing because, half of those starts at least were like rehabs, basically.
There was minor league appearances at the major league level.
For sure. And so for the world, it's been a good two plus years since we've watched him pitch as a regular part of a rotation.
Yeah.
And I think people forget that when he was last healthy, this guy was one of the best pitchers in the American League, period. And I think we're about to get real lucky this year because we're going to get to see that back in action. I thought he's looked fantastic for the most part in these last two starts. He has had some bouts of effective wildness, I guess we'll call it, where he's lost the zone just a little bit. But his other stuff his stuff's just so good too. Like if it's around the zone, guys are going to offer. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. And it's his second start in an actual game for spring training. So I think that we're in for a treat as fans rooting for him as Shohei the pitcher, because I think that this is going to be a very cool experience with him completely healthy now.
Yeah, Daniel Starkin and I are in a fantasy baseball league, and we have to set keepers for this league. And I had Ohtani, the pitcher. I drafted him sort of later in the draft, knowing he'd miss most of the season, but then I could keep him. And I kept looking at the rankings for this year, and he was not ranked high anywhere you looked. And yet I'm watching him in spring training, and I'm like, explain to me how this guy isn't one of the 5 to 7 best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. And I'm not even feeling like I have to project, because spring training stats aside, like, he just is dominating people at all steps of the process. And so the only question for him is how many innings he pitches. Like, how often is he going to take the ball, and can he stay healthy? Because he's not going to be on a normal 5-man rotation. He might not even be on a normal 6 or 7-man rotation. He could very well have stretches where it's 10 days between starts. I think that's the only reason, and we're going to have a Cy Young conversation later in this show, but I think that's the only reason why maybe in some people's minds he isn't quite in the conversation.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think there is some forgetfulness about how good the guy actually has been as a starter, and which is actually fair. Like, it's been a long time since baseball fans have seen the guy on the mound like as at that level, right? Because last year he was still clearly making his way back. And then the other thing is, I think that the stigma of the injuries, obviously, but also I think, like, to people who maybe think that's not going to be such a big deal, I am one of those. I don't think like he's an injury prone guy. He's had, the elbows blown up on him twice. That's very different than like he's got constant nagging shoulder things or, whatever. It's different. But I think people may be wondering, how much does he actually throw? And I think that I think 25 starts is within the window for him.
Even tonight, I mean, the goal was to get him into the 6. This is a guy that, like, we don't know how built up he's going to be by the start of the regular season. I believe he was at 80 pitches and then came back out for the 5th inning, didn't get any outs, gave up some hits, but like, I think he threw 86 pitches was the final number tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So the buildup is there. I mean, like, I think 86 is the most we've seen from any Dodgers pitcher in spring training, right? Like, I can't remember anybody that's gone above that number. So the fact that Ohtani, of all people, is built up to this, I mean, he could throw 95 in his first start of the season, which is crazy to think. And if he's healthy at the beginning of the year, given some of the other injuries, we're going to talk Blake Snell a little bit later in the show, like, you could start to project out a little bit that they're not going to overwork him. They're not going to like grind him into the ground. But I do think there's some of this where Ohtani dictates a lot of the rules about how Ohtani is used, and Ohtani wants to pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, he's serious about this. I think he was well on his way to becoming this, and I think with the 2-year break, and he wants to get back into this conversation of like, yeah, he doesn't just do this. He doesn't just take the ball and he throws a few innings and it's like basically checking a box to say that he's a pitcher also.
Right.
This guy is a frontline starter and he's an MVP caliber offensive player. And those two things are what make him him, right? It's why the Dodgers paid him what they paid him. And I think he is on a mission to remind everybody of actually how good he is on the mound.
Yeah. And I tweeted, I said, this outing tonight makes one of the bold predictions I'm going to make later not seem so bold. But he was fantastic tonight. The other guy we have to talk about, and it's kind of a nice segue into the Roki Sasaki conversation, is the guy that Roki Sasaki seems to have beaten out for the final rotation spot is Justin Robleski. Justin Robleski tonight, 4 innings, no hits, no walks, no hit by pitch, no runs, 5 strikeouts. He was fantastic, 49 pitches for him. And we don't have to have like clearly Roki Sasaki is not starting over Robleski because he's better than Robleski right now. But I guess let's frame the conversation this way. It's nice to know that the guy who's next in line, who maybe in the rotation in 2 weeks, in a month, I don't know, he seems ready. He seems dialed. He looks nasty.
Yeah, for sure. This has got to be a very nice insurance policy. This front office has to feel, when they look at this.
Well, and River Ryan too, right?
Yeah, I don't think we're that close to River Ryan yet. I think that Robleski would get first right of refusal here.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm of the mind that it seems like Robleski would piggyback Ohtani if needed, and then I think though it's going to be more of a Roki situation. Now I don't know if they want him pitching. I don't know how the days line up exactly. If they'll be able to do that, I think they can. Today's Tuesday. Roki would pitch on Monday.
Are you talking about the opening rotation?
Yeah.
Roki's projected to pitch Friday, I believe.
No.
Friday or
he's pitching against Cleveland.
Okay. Oh, is he in the second series?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll look it up. Katie Wu had it posted. For some reason, I thought he was earlier, but maybe it was Sheehan that I was thinking of that's pitching.
Yeah,
Friday.
I think the first series is Yamamoto, Sheehan, Glasnow. Yeah. And then Roki.
You're right. March 30th.
Yeah, Roki and then Shohei.
Yeah, so Monday. You had it right. I'm sorry.
So I think on traditional rest, Robleski could end up in that Monday game because it doesn't look like Shohei's going to end up need a piggyback based on the way he's thrown the ball so far. So yeah. I think that the insurance policy that he's kind of shown is got to make them feel better about, okay, if Roki does blow up on us, which is very possible, we have somebody who can fill in and we don't have to completely blow up the bullpen in these starts. I'm of the mind that Robleski ends up as a part of this rotation by the end of April. And when I say by the end of April, I mean at some point in April.
Yeah.
So it could be second week of April. It could be the 4th week of April. If Sasaki's issues continue to be command, if he starts to be able to throw more strikes and land the fastball a little bit, and maybe it gets hit around some, and he's not great, but the command and he's not walking 6 guys in his first 10 batters.
Yeah.
Then I think he can stick around, and I think they'll try to that's part of the development that they've talked about with him. If it's a situation where he cannot throw strikes, which is what it's been, I think he's gone.
Yeah.
And I know they've talked about his long leash, but you can't, the guy has to at least be able to cycle through the lineup that he's facing without walking every other hitter.
Yeah. And Robleski, I'm with you. I mean, one of my predictions coming into spring training was like, I think this guy's going to have a good enough spring to be in the rotation. Now, I don't know if I get a correct answer or incorrect answer there, because I think we would all agree he's been good enough to have a spot in the rotation. And if they go to a 6-man rotation, which we all think they're going to in like 2.5 weeks, then he's probably in the rotation at that point anyways. But I would just say kudos to Justin Robleski. Big season last year, shows up in the postseason, has some big moments. For him to have carried that into the spring. And again, I mean, 4 perfect innings with 5 strikeouts. I know it's at the back of end of a game against the Angels. The Angels had some dudes in there still at the end of the game, but just really impressive. And I really think he's one of these guys that flies under the radar because he's not Emmett Sheehan, who's already sort of broken out and had a fantastic season. He's not River Ryan, who's like kind of this hot, sexy prospect name that we've seen a little bit of. He's sort of in the middle, and yet he's a lefty that throws upper 90s and apparently has good command as well, and has pitched on the biggest stages and been successful. So I think he's a guy that as Dodger fans, we probably recognize the value and how good he is, that I'm not sure. I would say I'm pretty positive the rest of the league does not appreciate.
I think probably some Dodger fans don't either, because we've only really seen him in the bullpen. And so I don't know how many of the casuals even know that this guy is a starter.
Yeah.
Because as a big leaguer, he's pretty much only been a reliever, except for some spot starts here and there. So I think they're gonna learn quickly. I think that this guy can be in the rotation.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to a couple super chats here. Mookie Betts 50 says Dodgers chip gold brimmed hats, asking for a friend. Yes, they've got the gold brim, they've got the gold LA, they've got the 2 stars in the World Series patch. I'm bummed because, as you can tell, I'm not in my house. I will be headed back home tomorrow. My hat arrived yesterday, so if I was at home, I'd be wearing my my new gold LA hat, assuming it fits once it arrives. But yes, it's got the gold brim. Anthony, you purchased one as well, you said, right?
I am getting mine in person, either from a store before opening day or when I get to the stadium during that first series. So yeah, I'm gonna get it in person.
Love it. I love it. Laura says, did we predict 2026 regular season wins? If you've been watching closely, we sort of have, but we will officially be logging 2026 predictions as part of our bold prediction segment at the end of this show. So stay tuned for a little bit longer and we will get to that. Jay Teaser. Actually, I'm gonna pause that one for a second because we're gonna get to that. Roberto says 2009 Kershaw in his second season ERA was 5.21. He was 21 years old. Learned a new pitch. The rest is history. Roki will be fine. Your thoughts, Anthony?
I've actually thought about this before, with Roki in mind, because I remember I was on the beat when Kershaw debuted, and during those first early seasons and early starts, I would have Dodger fans, friends of mine in LA, saying like, this dude's not it. What was all the hype about? And that was, back when like pitcher wins and like stuff like that was still like a measure of like,
to some people, Anthony, it's still a thing. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And so like, I remember, explaining like advanced metrics to them and things like that. And I was like, this guy's actually pretty good. Like, don't worry about like that other stuff. And so like, I have thought about this in that way. The difference is like Kershaw had some underlying things that looked very good, whereas Roki does not. But to the point of this tweet, I think, is that you don't have to be good right out of the gate to have a good career.
Yeah. So one thing, I'm not sure exactly what numbers Roberto is looking at. He might be looking at spring training numbers. In 2009, he threw 27 innings and had a 4.5 ERA in the in spring training. But if we're talking major leagues, Kershaw's ERA in 2009, like we're talking about here, was 2.79. That was 171 innings as a 21-year-old. So we're going to talk about Roki. I think
that rookie year was not great.
Yeah, the rookie year was
2009 was when he started to be Kershaw.
Yeah, 4.26 as a rookie for Kershaw. And then it kind of took off from there. So hold tight on some of the Roki stuff because we're going to get to that. Wolfie says, shout out from Sweden. Thank you for the best show for Dodger fans. We appreciate the kind words. Wolfie, shout out to Sweden. Looking forward to watch Shohei go for a Cy Young Award and the three-peat. Might not be this year for Shohei, but he wants it, and I won't bet against him. Those two things we know for sure. He wants it, and safe to say, Anthony, Shohei Ohtani is not a guy that you should bet against. If he wants something, and again, he has made abundantly clear, he wants to win a Cy Young. No player from Japan has ever won it. He wants it. He's good enough to do it. The question is, can the stars align, so to speak, for him to get there?
Yeah, because there's some competition, and there's competition on his own team.
Yep, exactly. Gabriel says, my father and I will be going to both Friday and Saturday's games. Can't wait for the ring ceremony and Will Smith World Series bobblehead night. Go Dodgers. You will be at, is it Friday's game that you're planning on being at?
I'll be at Friday and Saturday.
There you go. Friday and Saturday. Maybe this is you. Maybe Anthony's the one with the super chat here. Are you going with your father?
I am going with my dad and my brother. Yeah.
What? Look at this. Maybe this is your brother. Is
It might
Gabriel
be.
your brother?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, let's have the Roki conversation. Jay says, how confident are you in Roki as a starter 0 to 10? And I'm going to assume, and Jay, if this is wrong, I apologize, but I am going to assume that Jay is asking about on Monday when Roki Sasaki takes the mound for the Dodgers. How confident will you be in his ability to be successful, Anthony? 0 being 0%, 10, 100%, prime Clayton Kershaw. What number are you at with Roki Sasaki on Monday?
0 Bobby Miller, 10 Cy Young Kershaw.
Oh, I thought you were just going 0. Got it. Yes. Yes.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I'm trying to figure out the scale here.
I mean, I think 0. Let's not say Bobby Miller, because there's been some people joking about Bobby Miller on social media, but I'm not sure we've ever seen Bobby Miller look as bad as Roki Sasaki has looked.
I think
I'm not saying I would take
you forget how bad Bobby Miller looked.
Bobby Miller did not get pulled 2 times in 4 starts without recording an out.
Because he looked bad in regular season games.
I'm just saying what we've seen of late. So go ahead. Whatever number you want to use for 0. I would not put Bobby Miller there, but go ahead.
I'm not very confident.
0? 1?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what this. Like 3 innings, 5 runs. I don't know what the scale is. I'm like 3. I'll say 3.
Okay, because you were at a 3. I mean, that was the panic meter number from a few weeks ago that I had a reaction to. Which is a different
people
question.
are still asking if I'm like, oh, is Anthony's panic level still a 3, as if it's going to change? I don't know what you guys aren't understanding. I'm not going to panic on this guy at all in 2026. So that's that. Like, does that mean I think he should be in the rotation? Maybe not. Maybe not. Do I think he can figure it out eventually? Sure. Do I think he's deserved a spot in the rotation or he's earned it? Absolutely not. No. But I'm not going to panic about this guy. For what? He is not making or breaking what this team does. Also, it doesn't matter how good he is just about in the regular season. He will not be in the rotation for this team come October. So that doesn't matter either for me. For me, with Roki Sasaki, it is, can he just figure it out? Whether that's in Dodger Stadium or whether that's in Oklahoma City, like just get him to a place where he can do that. The Dodgers are trying to make sure it happens with the big club right now. I don't know that he's long for the Dodgers. And I don't think the leash might be as long as they've told us it's going to be. Because again, what I said earlier, if the issue is that he cannot throw strikes the way we've seen him be unable to throw strikes, they cannot pitch him, period. Because they're going to have to take him out in the first and second innings. And it's one thing if you're giving up 4 runs over 4 innings, but you're turning the lineup over. It's another thing if you can't get out of the first. That's different.
So Jay asked the follow-up question, which I'm glad he asked because it was going to be mine to you. What's your long-term confidence in starter Roki? Like, and the way I would have framed this is like, has your view of Roki Sasaki long-term changed based on what we've seen from him in the last 4 to 6 weeks?
Yeah, I don't know why TQ2 is all over me about this. Bro, I'm not panicking. Sorry. I know people want me to maybe, but I'm not going to. Long-term, my confidence level on him, I would say right now.
Changed it all?
My long-term outlook on him?
Long-term confidence on Roki, has it changed at all in the last 4 to 6 weeks?
It's changed from yeah, I'll say yes. I'll say yes, because I think that the timeline has now elongated for this guy. Yeah. The hope was that after the postseason last year, he started to figure some things out that he could take into the offseason and bring into the rotation. That's clearly not happened.
Yeah.
It's definitely changed from like the start of last season when we thought like this guy could be a staple a foundational piece of this rotation for the next 6 seasons.
Yeah.
That's out the window, obviously, because he wasn't even that last year.
Yeah.
So the long-term outlook, yes, has changed. I would say like where we thought this year he could really start to develop and show himself to be a future frontline kind of pitcher. That I think for this season is probably gone, at least in the near term. Maybe he figures something out in the second half of the season. He looks really good or something like that. But beyond this season, I think for me, it's going to be a lot less linear than we were hoping it would be, his development.
Because I think there was real expectations, and I don't think they were crazy, that he was going to be able to contribute significantly as a rookie. And obviously he ended up contributing in surprising ways. Like all the people who were ready for him to contribute as a rookie, I don't think any of them were penciling him into being the Dodgers closer in October. But I think that's the tricky part, right? Is like, how do you still have a honest conversation about long-term with the guy that everyone expected to be so much further along in the short term? Because as good as he was, and as much as the phenom as he was, I don't think it was crazy for people to say, hold on, we kind of guessed that this guy would be at least by now in year 2 ready to go. Now, those expectations changed once he came over and was as bad as he was in the regular season last year, dealing with some injury stuff, etc. But like when he signed, I think most people were expecting this to be a much shorter kind of window to being a contributor.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair. I thought the expectations for him to be like an ace immediately were unfair and wrong, but also the expectation that he would be a real part of the rotation and able to take the ball and be effective were probably, totally fair. And he's not that at all right now. And so like, people wondering about the definition of panic for me. Panic is like, oh my God, this guy's never going to make it and the season's in jeopardy because he's not good. I'm not going to do that.
I think it's separating, like, because we all agree that as a Dodger,
that's my definition of panic. If someone has a different definition and they want me to answer that, like, give me your definition. Because when I see the word panic, I'm like, hope is being lost. This guy's in his second season. Like,
and I think it's separating the Dodgers piece, I think, is the tricky part, because we all agree that Roki Sasaki could be abysmal and start every 5th day, and it probably wouldn't matter for the Dodgers. Like, to say I'm not panicked because that's true, it's like, well, yeah, we all agree on that. I think the question is like, take the player in a vacuum. Are we panicking? Are we worried about the player? Because Bobby Miller, based on the conversation, is a guy that it sounds like the panic number is very high on. And I'm not saying Roki Sasaki is at Bobby Miller levels yet, but I think there's like those two guys aren't maybe as far apart as it would have seemed like they would have been 4 to 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, sure. That's fair. I'm not thinking like because he looks like this right now, he can never figure it out. It's just hopeless.
Yeah. I think, and this is like, let's get into some of the numbers on Sasaki, and I see the super chat, so hang tight on those for a second. So last night, his 4th appearance of the spring, 2 innings pitched, which he got 6 outs across 4 innings. That's a real thing that happened because of spring training rules. 2 innings, no hits, as Anthony pointed out on social media. He threw a no-hitter last night. So I don't know what the panic is about, folks. No hits. I believe 5 earned runs is what he finished with. 6 walks, 2 hit by pitch, and 2 strikeouts. He threw 66 pitches. I'm not talking balls and strikes here. I'm just talking about like pitches that would have landed in the zone or not. 21 of the 66 pitches he threw last night would have landed out of the zone. I've got a pitch chart for us here that I'm going to throw up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice there are some dots that don't appear on the screen, some that are above the screen and some that are below the screen.
So bad.
And it's a mess, right? It's arm side to the right side. We know that, but it's up, it's down. There's an inside pitch on the right side of the screen that you can't see. 21 of 66 pitches were in the zone last night. 9 of his 27 splitters landed in the zone. 1 of his 6 cutters, 1 of his 4 sinkers, 10 of his 29 fastballs landed in the zone last night. Dave Roberts after the game said, quote, "I don't think you can completely bank on or evaluate spring training or an exhibition game, but yeah, it hasn't been great. It really hasn't. And we know that. The standard needs to be better. He knows that. We know that. And now it's kind of go time and see how he can perform when the lights come on. He went on to say, I believe in him. I really do. I told him that in the dugout, and then added, there are a few things I think we can clean up that the pitching guys identified. Tell me if you've heard that before. And then we'll see where it takes us. Roki was asked after the game about possibly being sent down. Quote, if that's the judgment, if that's better, I think that's fine. Dylan Hernandez with a little bit of the translation work on that one. Here's my concern, Anthony. Here's why I'm worried. I've said this consistently through the spring, and I was baffled by the conversation about Roki Sasaki finding a third pitch. And I was baffled for one simple reason. He doesn't have a second pitch right now. In order to get to a third pitch, you need to have a second. The splitter is phenomenal. The splitter got swung on 13 times last night, and they missed more than half of those. 7 whiffs on 13 swings. He only lands a third of them in the zone. That's designed. Like, you don't want the splitter landing in the zone. The problem is, and this is why I'm worried, because we can talk mechanics and we can talk command and we can talk location. His fastball isn't good. They swung at his fastball 10 times last night. They missed 0 times. 0 times. So the thing that's concerning to me, Anthony, is even if this guy figures the mechanics out, even if he figures the command out, and the fastball is not all over the place, if nobody's swinging and missing at it, that's a problem. Now, I know part of this is if it's in the zone, then they're going to swing and miss more at the splitter, and I agree with you on that. But unless the fastball becomes like, I don't even know what's between what it is now and it being a weapon. It doesn't need to be a weapon, but like, this is not a bad pitch. His second pitch is bad, and that's before we get into command. And I think that's what worries me the most, is even when it's in the zone, nobody's swinging and missing at it.
This is a little chicken and egg for me.
Okay.
Because when he has shown in the brief glimpses where he has had command of it, it does get swing and miss. And I thought the prime example of that was in postseason last year. When he had some command of it, guys would swing through it. And he wasn't throwing it middle, but he would throw it like into one of the thirds, not the middle third, but one of the thirds of the strike zone, the vertical. And Phillies guys were swinging through it. But part of that reason was because he was commanding it, and also the splitter, he was playing it off the splitter. And so as a reliever, you can get away with the 2 pitches. You're going one time through the order, basically, at max. As a starter, even if he does locate it some, it's going to end up being a worse pitch, because he's not able to use it in the same way he can as a reliever, which is why the third pitch is then important. When he has shown in this spring training, when he has shown that he's had a little bit of command or a little bit of like, I kind of know where this fastball is going.
Yeah.
That cutter or whatever that third pitch he had been working on, whatever you want to call it, ended up being pretty effective, actually. And it's just anytime that fastball is being sprayed all over the chart, like you just showed, everything else is so much worse. And anytime the fastball's in the zone, they know what that is. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how hard he's throwing it. A big league hitter will time you up. It's not a problem. And so if they know that it's either lay off, or if the pitch starts in the zone, it's that flat fastball, they're going to hit it. Yeah. It's the whole thing about it is, can you keep them off balance? Because you're able to command this thing. He's not able to do that. He's going to get hit hard as long as his command looks like that when he does find the zone. When he's, so when you don't walk a guy and you find the zone with it, someone's going to find the barrel too.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bad pitch right now when he can't command it, for sure.
And I think that was what was some of the criticism of all of the hype that he came with, which is we have been trained to see 99-mile-an-hour fastball equals good. But as some of the sort of pitching guru types have pointed out, Alex Vesia's fastball is like 93 miles an hour, and it's elite because of the movement, because of the spin, because of the induced vertical break, all of this stuff. Those people were like, Roki's fastball has velocity, maybe, which like it hasn't fully come back to where it was in Japan. But the problem was the shape of it. It is part of the reason why a lot of people are skeptical. And so maybe it's the cutter that bounces back. Maybe it's the 2-seamer. But that's I think what is most concerning to me is I'm not convinced that like a mechanical fix, now the command is dialed. I don't know if that gets us to the place that we want to get to ultimately. And because I'm with you, like, okay, mechanical fix, things settle into place, he finds it, we're good to go. That seems easy, but like finding a second and a third pitch or changing the shape dramatically enough to improve the spin or to improve whatever they need to improve, that feels like a taller hill to climb in my estimation.
Yeah, totally. I agree. And it may be that he ends up being a reliever, and then that is a crapshoot too because it's all still going to come down to the fastball.
Yeah.
Like I said it, I think after his first start, it's not even right now about is he a reliever or a starter? He is nothing currently.
Yeah.
Because he cannot control that fastball.
Yeah.
Period. You have to at least have some semblance of where that thing is going if you're going to pitch in the big leagues. Right now, he's got none.
Yeah. The overall spring numbers for Sasaki, 4 starts, plus the backfields game, which we're not counting here. 3 earned runs or more in every single one of them. In 8 2/3, he had 15 walks, 2 hit by pitch, and 9 strikeouts. The ERA was 15.5, which honestly, at least one time he left with the bases loaded and the reliever bailed him out. So could have been higher. These were the 4 starts. You pointed this out in a text thread that I thought was helpful. So the first start, he goes an inning and a third, which is fine. Like first start, pitch count, whatever. Second start, he gets pulled from the game without recording an out. Comes back in the second. Start 3, left with the both bases loaded in the third. Comes back out in the fourth. Start 4, leaves the game before recording an out. So in starts 2, 3, and 4, all 3 of those, he had to be removed from the game prior to them wanting. 2 of the 3, I cannot stress this enough. 2 of the 3, he literally did not record an out before being taken out.
Yeah.
And the point that you made is like, hey, you know, it's not going to work in the regular season. The whole whoopsie daisy spring training rule where we just pull a guy and put him back in.
Yeah.
Because like, if I gave you the over under at Roki Sasaki gets 8.5 outs on Monday, AKA, does he complete the 3rd inning? Right now, Anthony, I'm putting you on the spot. Over under 8.5 outs for Roki Sasaki on Monday. Are you taking the over the under?
I'm taking the under.
Right? Like that number, if I see that number pop up on my phone, I see that number pop up on my phone, I don't know how you do anything other than click pound on that, right? Like
sure.
That's the concerning part. Because of the walks, because of the hit by pitch, because of there's nothing here. And so the question then that is written on the screen, Anthony, is what do they do? They've committed all spring and they're still saying it. This guy's going to be in the rotation. How many starts does he make?
They've started to be a little more honest about it.
100%. 100%. Impossible not to notice. But honestly, I would not have been shocked if like yesterday or today, we got a quote that was like, sources say the Dodgers are reconsidering Roki Sasaki being on the opening day roster. Like, I'm honestly,
I don't think that. I don't think that. I think where they've told us that they're going to give him quote unquote runway, that runway has gotten significantly shorter, I think, in the last week.
So if I gave you over under 2.5 starts for Roki before he's in Oklahoma City, what would you take?
I would take the over maybe, but just barely.
Yeah, I'd take the under. Because I think there's a world where Monday's really bad. Like,
yeah, totally. And that's why I said, like, I think Robleski is in this rotation by the end of April, possibly by like the second week, which would give him 2 to 3 starts or whatever, Roki. Yeah, I think that they've already started to sort of leave themselves a little wiggle room with that. And his comments about like, look, if that's what the best option is, like, I'm open to that. His words.
Yeah.
Because again, if he's getting hit around and like, you know, like again, you know, four runs over 4 in the 3rd innings or something like that. And, you know, that's one thing. But when he's facing 8 hitters and he's walked 5 of them, and then 2 others have hit the ball 107 miles an hour. Yeah. That's very, very different. And that is not a guy you can keep running out there.
Yeah. I'm with you. And I'm so fascinated to see how this plays out, because every time he takes the ball, I know people think I'm a hater. I am rooting so badly for this guy to figure it out, because it's good for him. It's good for the Dodgers. Like, Those things are way more important to me than me being right about being skeptical of Roki Sasaki. And yet somehow, like, I am watching the StatCast for yesterday. I'm watching the numbers. I'm watching the pitch chart. And I'm like, this is somehow worse than I ever could have imagined it being, the way that last night's game played out.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
And the hard part is, and this is where I'll be honest, I can't listen to the Dodgers tell me that it's going to be fine anymore. Like, Dave, I joked about it when I read the quote, like, oh, our pitching guys saw something. It's like, Dave, I'm sorry. You've been telling us that all spring. Oh, no. The bullpen Indy threw yesterday. Oh, no. You should have seen him on the backfields. Oh, no. This game against the White Sox minor leaguers. And guess what? Every single time you give me a positive report, right? This is like the boy who cried wolf. It's like, until I see it with my eyes, I'm sorry, Dave, I don't believe you about what's happening in bullpens or backfields or confidence. And to your point, I think it's telling that even though he slipped a little bit of, our pitching guys found some stuff, it was mostly like, that was real bad. We're not going to sugarcoat it. That was bad. You know, I think that's noticeable, and that's not nothing. So.
Yeah, totally. Look, the other thing to remember with this too is that this guy's no cap in Major League Baseball, salary cap, but like, he's making the minimum.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a guy that they paid the way they paid Yamamoto, where if they paid Yamamoto to come here and be an ace, and to his credit, he's lived up to that. And Sasaki, they won the sweepstakes for him, but he's making the minimum like any other prospect would be. And he has not lived up to anything aside from last October, when he was very useful during that title run. But as a starter, he has shown you almost absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And so how does he fit into this year's team? Very up in the air to me as a starter. He's shown nothing. Like, there have been flashes of like, okay, that's the guy that everyone is hoping shows up to the ballpark. But so much more of that has been, this guy doesn't belong anywhere near the opening day roster.
Do you buy any part of the conspiracy theory that the Dodgers made promises to Roki Sasaki related to how quickly he'll get to free agency based on service time?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay.
Because
it doesn't sound crazy to me, because the negotiations with Roki, he could have gone anywhere. There's very few things that you could have actually said. I don't think the Dodgers, like, here's what I would say. I would not be surprised if the Dodgers made commitments to him along the lines of, we will have your best interest in mind. We will get you to free agency as quickly as we possibly can. I don't think it was like an ironclad promise of like, hey, you can go out there and have a 32 ERA and we're just going to keep sending you out every single time. But I do believe there's probably, I guess I'll put it this way, Anthony. I can't find a single other explanation for why we are here and he's starting on Monday if there wasn't some sort of like commitment made to him, because he's clearly not one of the 5 best pitchers they have.
Yeah.
And they have the 6 guys sitting right there in Robleski. It's not like there's not an obvious candidate. So like, what's the answer? You know, like, how could you possibly get there? And I don't have anything.
I do believe that they believe that his development is going to be better suited at the big leagues. I really believe that they believe that. I think the caveat there was that they did not believe he would be walking the ballpark. Yeah. I think they thought they were going to fix other issues that needed to be fixed, mechanical, third pitch, etc., velocity. Not that, can you just throw a fastball for a strike today?
Yeah.
And I think that's where some of this is turning on its head now for the team. Yeah. Because if he can't do at least that, you got to send him down.
Right.
The reason why I don't know if I could ever, unless they come out and say it themselves, I cannot believe in that conspiracy theory about they promised him a roster spot, is because every other move that they've made since they've signed Shohei Ohtani has been to win now in this window as much as possible. And Roki Sasaki being that bad and taking up a roster spot and a rotation spot spits in the face of everything else that they've done with this roster since they've gotten Ohtani. That's why I say they believe that he's got to develop at the big league level, which there's a lot of baseball people believe that with certain prospects.
Yeah.
Those prospects who were pitchers probably could throw a fastball for a strike, though.
Well, I was going to say, because if the ball gets put in play, you've at least got like a 60% chance that ball's going to be an out. When
Exactly.
it's a walk, it's a 0% chance of being an out.
You can't defend that, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. No, totally. Yeah. And so I think that the Dodgers, when they were saying all this, thought he'll at least be able to throw the fastball over the plate.
Right. Yeah, because we can work with 4 innings, 7 hits, a pair of walks, and 4 runs.
Exactly.
You can't work with, he just walked 2 guys with the bases loaded already, and now it's 2-0, and we need to go get him. So it's a complicated situation. I've never seen anything like this. It's just a guy that came over with as much hype that has been, clearly short term. We're not saying long term he's going to be a disappointment, but it's
and that's I think you hit the nail on the head with the hype. That is the blessing and the curse with him right now, because there have been plenty of top flight pitching prospects who have failed, like who, maybe even didn't make the big leagues, obviously, and others who have made the big leagues and they tried to force them in there and they just didn't have it. Yeah. But the hype that came with this guy, him being from Japan, the fact that Ohtani and Yamamoto were already on the team, and his countrymen and all of that kind of stuff, put him in you're either going to be an ace immediately, basically, or it's a disappointment. Not for I think people who were studying the game or but like casual fans who are like, oh, they got Roki Sasaki. He's from Japan. He's going to be really, really good.
Yeah. He was ranked the #1 prospect in all of Major League Baseball on every single list that was willing to call him a prospect.
Yep.
And those aren't dumb people, No. The outlier opinions were Lance Brozdowski, who came on this show and said, I think he's a reliever. That was not the norm 12 months ago. And
it was not the 29 other teams believed it too. It wasn't just the Dodgers. Yeah, because of how he came over, where he wasn't going to carry the price tag like Yamamoto did. 29 other teams were in on this guy too.
Yeah. For sure. Such an interesting situation. So, all right, let's get to some super chats here. Nicholas, gonna go Nicholas. Sounds right. Current day Roki or 2023 Noah Syndergaard. I go Syndergaard. He did give us innings at least. I will say this. This is not an opinion about Roki Sasaki long term. It is not an opinion about Roki Sasaki long term. I will say it one more time. It is not an opinion about Roki Sasaki long term. Anthony, I don't know if I've seen a pitcher that is more lost than Roki Sasaki is right now. I mean, I just said it. He threw 4 spring training starts and twice did not record an out in the first inning. And again, it's not loud contact. It is walk, hit by pitch, walk. I don't know if I've ever seen a pitcher I would rank lower than today Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, you can figure out hard contact.
Totally.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but you cannot walk guys.
Yeah.
You cannot. It is the cardinal sin as a pitcher. Yeah. It's amazing too that even though the small sample size theater of the playoffs in terms of what was under the hood, his job in the postseason was to not let runs score. And he did that exceptionally well.
Yeah.
He had to get bailed out once by Trinan, but he did that really, really well for the most part. And for him to go from that and that progress to what he is today is just baffling. And it has to be baffling, that coaching staff. And it probably is baffling to him too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. He's not a Major League Baseball player right now.
Yeah. I love this from LV Mark. Jeff being right, even if temporary hurts. I appreciate that. I appreciate that the small piece there. JY says, Louis analysis, development isn't linear. So there you go. J Rod says, man, I'm going to Monday's game. Not looking good. Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
I'll say this though, as a Dodger fan and as a baseball fan, his starts right now for me are cannot miss television.
I don't know if you could. Well, first of all, the back-to-back World Champions hoodie looks freaking dope, J-Rod. So if you happen to score an extra one of those, let's talk. I'll send you some money. We'll make a trade or something. So find me on social media at Jeff Spiegel. Okay. The back-to-back world champions hoodie looks sick. So you've got
Wait,
that
where are
going
you?
for
Where
you.
are you seeing that?
That's the giveaway.
Oh, for Monday's game.
It's a giveaway night. I went to look and said, are you at least getting something cool? The
I was
answer is
looking
yes.
at his avatar. I was like, that's
No.
Emmitt Smith.
Yep. Dallas Cowboys. No, but yeah, I'm with you. I mean, yes, I will want to be in front of my television watching how that game goes. Unfortunately, not for all the same reasons I'll be watching Shohei Ohtani pitch the next night, but just as engaged, I guess. Carlos said, if you had to trade him, who would you want? Oh, I mean, what would be the point? Like, the best case scenario is you develop Edman to something similar to what you thought you were getting a couple years ago. I don't think there's any chance they trade Roki Sasaki. So
yeah, and I don't think they want to,
unless the Tigers really want him.
if they, if they put him on the block tomorrow, 29 teams would be bringing the phone off the hook, and there's no chance they want to trade him. None.
Yeah. I think teams would be interested. I don't think the Dodgers would get anything that would make them even think twice about trading him. Like, you're not getting
I don't say that to mean that the offers are going to be fantastic and there's going to be a haul of prospects on the other end. I'm saying every team would be like, how cheap can we get this guy for?
Yeah.
They would all want him, though.
Yeah. I see Ross says Jeff wants Roki to be traded for Skubal. I mean, I want Skubal, and if Roki is the price, I'm not gonna step in front of that train. Mr. Yoda says, from Japan, Roki is extremely hard to figure out. Even in the NPB, he was up and down to the point where his own managers didn't like it. It happens. Without understanding all of the dynamics that are taking place in Japan and in the media and the NPB, I am not claiming to be an expert on any of this, other than to say Mr. Yoda, who is presumably an expert on all those things, there were some weird things coming out of Japan surrounding Roki Sasaki. Not anything enough to make you think twice about signing the guy for a nothing contract, to be clear. But he does not have the same reputation there that Yamamoto does. Let's just put it that way. There were some people that weren't thrilled with how he handled some stuff and decisions that he made. And so, I think there's probably some people in Japan, as Mr. Yoda's referencing, that maybe are less surprised by what we're hearing than some others. So, all right, let's shift gears. We're going to get to bold predictions in a moment. Real quick, couple injury updates from the Dodgers. Tommy Edman and Blake Snell expected back in late May. This is from Jack Harris. Dave giving this timeline sometime around the end of May, so 2 full months. This isn't surprising to me, other than, Anthony, this isn't the timeline that either of these players have given us at any point. Snell, it sounded like, was going to try and get back by the end of April. Edman, it feels like, is perpetually like there's no progress every single time we get updates on Tommy Edman. So I don't know. Are you surprised at all that the answer here is late May?
Not really. I think once the team stepped in and overruled both of those guys in terms of like, you're not going to try to make it for opening day. Stop saying that. Then I figured at some point, like, they'd be out at least a month of the regular season is kind of where I landed with it. Because it's the Dodgers, and that's where, like, no one's out for like a week. It's right. You're either, you don't go on the IL, you miss a couple of games, or you're out for like 9 weeks. Absolutely. So yeah, this isn't too surprising to me, especially for Snell. Edman, I thought, had a chance to be back a little sooner, but that's I'm good with that. Like, they're gonna give Freeland an opportunity. And when Edman comes back, it'll be his spot. And maybe they're wanting him to make sure he's all the way back because, in case we need you in the outfield, like, who knows? But yeah, not a total surprise on either of these guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think it's nice. Like, again, I know the Freeland Kim thing is controversial. I would say this no matter who had won the job. I'm glad that person is going to get a runway. I'm not saying Freeland's, can hit 090 and still get 2 full months. But I'm just glad that in theory, it's not going to be like a 3-week audition. Because I imagine if you're Alex Freeland, that takes a little pressure off your shoulders, feeling like my life does not depend on every single at bat I get over the first 2 series of the season. I'm sure the Dodgers have sat him down and said, hey, 6 to 8 weeks. Here you go. Here's your shot. Let's see what you got. And remains to be seen. And Snell, take your time, Blake Snell. Take your time. Ramos says, I hope we are all wrong and Roki pitches 6 shutty. You and me both. Ramos,
the funniest thing. That would be
we might have to do an emergency live show if it's 6 shutty from Roki Sasaki on Monday night. I'm not promising anything, but I'm also not promising anything if it's 6 shutout from Roki Sasaki. As long as the walk number is below 5. Maybe. We'll see. All right, let's get to
if he just doesn't walk the ballpark, like he could give you 6 innings. He just cannot walk everybody. Like he's been good enough, I think, like in flashes to say, like, if you stopped walking guys, you'd actually be okay. Yeah. You might not be shutty, but you could give him something.
All right, Anthony, it's time. 2026 Dodgers bold predictions. One of my favorite segments that we do every single year. We say crazy things. My definition of a bold prediction, again, is you either have to be hated for saying it out loud or you have to hate yourself for saying it out loud. I will remind people, and I only remind people about my successful bold predictions last year because everyone likes to pick the one that was truly abysmal, and it was truly abysmal. That was my Michael Conforto prediction. But I just want to point out that these are bold predictions. These were things that were not popular or likely. And your boy went 5 for 10 last year. So I just want to remind the people before we dive in. Just
when you make 10, bro, you're going to get some right.
5 for 10, though, is nuts. Because let me walk through these, okay? The Conforto one, that's a loss. Tommy Edman hated me for that one. Maybe he was injured. Maybe he wasn't. All I'm saying is I ended up being right, that it wasn't a great year.
Maybe he wasn't. Maybe, I think he was injured.
Okay, well, he wasn't good. That's the bottom line.
Agree there, yeah.
I predicted that Clayton Kershaw was going to be a real contributor for the Dodgers. That was not a popular opinion to have at the beginning of last season.
I don't remember people like.
Oh,
I thought that was totally reasonable.
No. Go back and watch it. Watch it. I promise you. Yeah. If you look at how things finished in 24, I
don't think some of these were bold though.
I can assure you, I had Mookie Betts as a Gold Glove finalist at shortstop. Tell me that one wasn't bold, Anthony.
I said the same thing. So to me, it wasn't bold. I didn't say it as a bold prediction. I thought he was going to be a good shortstop.
I predicted Dustin May would get traded midway through the season.
That was a good one.
I predicted Jack Dreyer was going to be a dude for the Dodgers last year. Rule 5 protected. Hadn't pitched a single major league inning. So those are my 5. Yeah. The beauty is that's the hard part about recapping bold predictions is it's like, well, yeah, of course Kershaw was going to be awesome. And I'm like, man, I just remember how much crap I got for these. So, okay, here's the plan. We're going to go through these. As I said, the goal is to get some of these out there. I told Anthony, hey, prepare 3 or 4. He followed the rules. I said to myself, hey, Jeff, prepare 3 or 4. I didn't follow the rules. I have 10 here. So I don't know how. Well, I'll let you go first, Anthony. Why don't you rattle off? Give me your first bold prediction. You can like ease yourself into the pool here if you want. You can go straight into the deep end with your crazy ones.
We're going deep end.
I love it. Deep end, straight to the deep end. First bold prediction is what?
I only got deep end.
I like it.
Mine are truly bold.
I like it.
That's with the entire winter to prepare for a position change. I was good with that.
Okay. I'm glad we had 2 of us.
Roki Sasaki.
This is a good one.
October contributor.
Okay. Not as a starter, I assume.
Not as a starter. Okay. He would not be like that. That's the thing I said earlier. He could have a good season and he still wouldn't be in the postseason rotation.
Yeah. But you think he's like on the playoff roster, not the guy who never sees the
playoff roster. I think he gets back into a leverage situation as a reliever. And I think he succeeds there. And then it only fans the flames of should this guy just be a reliever.
Okay. I like it.
That's truly bold, right?
That's great. It's great. This one I wrote down and I can't tell how bold it is. And the prediction I'm going to make here is that Edwin Diaz is going to get 40 saves as a Dodger. Now, here's why I feel like this is slightly bold. He has only done that one time in his entire career. That was in 2018 with the Mariners. Nobody for the Dodgers has had 40 saves since 2017, I believe, was the last time. Kenley Jansen, of course. So I just think Edwin Diaz is going to be awesome. We know he's going to be the closer. the question is like, are there enough 3-run leads or less that he gets to close out? I think
Right.
it's bold in part because I think there's going to be a lot of like protecting him. Like, I'm not sure there's going to be a ton of 3 times in 4 nights kind of thing. So I think he's not going to get every save opportunity simply because he's just not going to be available some nights. But I'm going to ease into the pool. My first bold prediction here is Edwin Diaz 40 saves. You can be honest with me. Is
The
that
great
not bold
reliever
enough
is
for you?
great. That's your prediction?
What's that?
The great reliever is great.
Look, I mean, you told me the last time the Dodgers signed a great reliever.
40 is tough. 40 is tough. Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I think we've been scarred by Tanner Scott and all of like how many times has a great
Kirby
reliever
Yates.
come to LA? Kirby Yates, Craig Kimbrell, you name it, a guy that came and was terrible. So there you go. Edwin Diaz, 40 saves. That's my first bold prediction. You're up next.
Yeah, I mean, 40 saves would be one of the greatest relief seasons in Dodger history for sure.
I believe it would be there. 8 guys have gotten to 40 all time single season. Gagne did it 3 times. Jansen did it 3 times. Todd Worrell and Jeff Shaw, the other 2. My guy Takashi Saito, 39, one short in his best season as a Dodger. So there you go. What do you got for your second bold prediction?
Okay. I'll stick in the bullpen. Tanner Scott ERA starts with a 2 this year.
I love it. I love it. I'm in on the Tanner Scott bounce back. I'll be honest. Last couple spring outings, not awesome.
It's making it a lot bolder.
It's making it bolder. This one is trending in the more bold direction. So Tanner Scott, Laura's, we got somebody saying 2.5, below 2.5. Anthony's not saying that. It starts with a 2. 2.99 is a win for our guy Anthony here. So I like it. I'm not ready to go there quite yet. I believe in Tanner Scott. I would be comfortable with like a 3.1, 3.2 ERA for Tanner Scott. It would be hard
to be worse.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I like that. My number 2, I'll stay in the bullpen too. We're just giving you bullpen predictions left and right. I love Kyle Hurt. I think, and I'm going to use wins above replacement. People can hate that stat. I don't know how else you would quantify this. I think at the end of the season, he will be one of the 4 most valuable Dodgers relievers in 2026. Like, I think the season that he is about to have, he will finish top 4 in wins above replacement among Dodgers relievers, which I only consider bold because he's literally not on the opening day roster. So if he was starting the season, this would feel more reasonable. But I love Kyle Hurt. I love the upside on this guy. I think they're going to churn through relievers. And I think if he gets into the major league pen, I'm not sure there's going to be a ton of opportunities for them to send him back down to Oklahoma City. So number 2 for me, Kyle Hurt.
Yeah, I think he can be a stud.
Go for it, number 3.
All right, number 3. The Dodgers are going to get more than one October start from somebody not currently in the organization.
Okay. Now, more than one start. So it could be one player.
It could be one player, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, somebody is going to start a game, a real start, not a bulk start, not a relief pitcher start, but a real start from a guy not currently in the organization.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Tarek Skubal could be the guy.
Could be.
Could be.
I'm thinking more like Sandy Alcantara.
Okay.
Something like that.
So you think at the deadline they're going to be fishing for a starting pitcher?
I think they're going to put the pole in the water, and because it's the Dodgers, the fish will come to them.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be a name big enough to be considered a needle moving trade.
I've said this for years and they keep making me look stupid. I feel like there's a roster crunch coming. All these guys are going to need to protect from the Rule 5 draft. All the guys are going to need to add to the 40, all the outfielders. It just feels like they have the pieces. So there you go. All right. Number 3 for me, again, I would say this is on the less bold side, but I believe big time in Teoscar Hernandez. I think it's going to be a huge bounce back. He's had a great spring. He has only done this one time in his career, but I think we get 100 RBIs from Teoscar Hernandez in 2026.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, for sure.
He's in the right spot in the lineup. He's kind of like the back end of that. He's going to have tons of dudes on base in front of him. I think the gap-to-gap power is there. I think the home runs are back. So give me 100 RBIs for Teoscar Hernandez.
I like it, yeah.
So, okay, you're done with yours, right? Because unfortunately, I have like 18 more on here. Okay, I'll save that one. Kyle Tucker has never done this in his career. I think he's a 5-win player this year for the Dodgers. I think he has the best, most valuable season of his career this year. Part of that's because of the lineup he's playing in, the numbers he's going to put up. But this guy was awesome last year before he got hurt. Then he got hurt. The numbers tanked. So I just believe for sure in Kyle Tucker. I think he's a 5+ win player, which would make him last year. That would have been 9th in the National League in wins above replacement. And I think that's in play for Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, I like it. I think that is I think that's a fair expectation, actually.
Yeah.
Assuming that he's healthy, I think that is well within the realm of possibility for him.
Okay, I've got 2 more starting pitching side. Then I've got a few that I'm like, I wouldn't say this with my chest necessarily, but I might whisper it to you if we were sitting in a quiet place. The 2 that I'm going to say with my chest, and I'll save the craziest one for last. This doesn't seem crazy after the outing that he had tonight, but I think Shohei Ohtani is the top Dodgers pitcher finisher in Cy Young voting at the end of the season.
Okay.
I think of all the guys that get Cy Young votes, I think Ohtani gets more than Yamamoto, more than Glasnow, more than Snell, more than whoever else. I think he has it in him. I think it's just a matter of if he makes enough starts. I think he wants it. So that's what I'm going with there with Ohtani. And then here's, I think, the craziest one. I crossed it out and rewrote it. Tyler Glasnow. I think he starts the All-Star game, Anthony. I think he's the best pitcher in the National League for the first half of the season. I think he's going to be awesome to start. Notice I'm not betting on a full awesome season from Tyler Glasnow necessarily, but I think he starts the All-Star game.
I think people forget how good he was before he got hurt the first season he was here.
Yep.
He was elite before he got hurt. I didn't use this in my bold predictions, but we did some kind of bold prediction segment before during the winter
training.
Yeah, there you go. And one of mine was that Tyler Glasnow gets Cy Young Award votes.
Yeah. And he's only made the All-Star team once in his career. That was 2 years ago, which you mentioned, and has never gotten Cy Young votes at any point in his career. So he's looked awesome. Okay, I have 4 more that are like, I wouldn't say this totally with my chest.
He might benefit. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Glasnow might be a Kyle Tucker type where he's going to really benefit from like not having to be the face of the rotation.
Yep.
Like I could see that being a thing. I mean, I don't think he's ever shied away from the spotlight. It's just he hasn't been ever healthy enough to to make a legitimate case. But like maybe him being able to kind of fly under the radar in this rotation with good health, maybe it makes it a little bit easier on him. I am expecting if he can give you 22 starts this season, I think he ends up being one of the best pitchers in the National League. And obviously, like I said, I still think he ends up getting Cy Young votes.
Total side note, did you see the interview he did with Mookie Betts on Mookie Betts' podcast? Like, it was a couple years ago, I think, when he did this. Do you remember this? I had not seen it. Somehow it came across my feed and I watched it. Okay. It was old. Did you know that Tyler Glasnow has a tattoo on the inside of his lip?
Yes, I did see this. Yes.
That's insane. How do we not talk about that more?
My brother has one too.
Wow. I mean, the things you learn.
Yeah. So if he does this, it's a right side up Wu-Tang symbol, Wu-Tang W for my brother.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, you got it.
Had no idea.
I think he had a bomb in one of his college games or something like that. And as a celebration, they went to the tattoo parlor and he got that.
And incredible. Okay, here's 4 more that are lukewarm takes. Like I don't fully believe these, but I don't not believe these either. I think Ryan Ward's out of the organization by the trade deadline. That's not a crazy take. I just don't see it. They're going to need 40-man spots, and I think they've got guys off the 40-man if they need an outfielder. So I think Ryan Ward's gone. Yeah. Everyone knows I like Alex Freeland. I think he's going to be like 100 weighted runs created plus hitter this season. Like I think he's going to be good. I don't think we're going to be complaining about Alex Freeland. That's not going to be a popular one. I don't know how, when, or why.
That's not good, but probably.
I mean, we would take league average from Freeland.
We would take league average 100%.
Tommy Edman's league average. So I'm like, I think if he could be a Tommy Edman level player offensively, we wouldn't be talking about him, I guess is my point. I don't know how, when, or why. I think Nick Senzel and Jack Sawinski are going to be guys that contribute at some point in LA. Neither of them's on the 40-man roster. Neither of them really has a role that makes any sense. I just think both of them are going to be good this year. And I think at some point they're going to be in LA and it's going to be like, oh, they just found that guy, huh? So there you go. And my last one is I believe in Dalton Rushing. I think Dalton Rushing is an above average offensive player in 2026, which a year and a half ago would not have been a hot take at all. He's been really bad at the major league level. And I just think at some point he puts it together. And I believe 2026 is the year. So I'm in on Dalton Rushing.
That was one of my earlier bold takes too with the glass now thing was Rushing.
Okay, let's wrap it up. A few more questions here on this segment. Give me the 3 Dodgers in order who finish highest in MVP voting. So I'm not asking who's going to win the NL MVP. I'm saying if 3 guys place, in what order and who are they?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess Ohtani won for you. Safe bet.
Oh man, I forgot about that guy. Yeah. Yeah, he's one.
Ohtani won.
Ohtani
I have Kyle
won.
Tucker too.
I think Ohtani's unanimous again too.
Okay. I have Ohtani, Tucker, Freeman. Those would be my Dodger MVP voting results. Is that what you have?
Ohtani, Tucker, Freeman. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's not sorry. That's not mine.
Okay, go ahead.
Ohtani, Tucker, Mookie.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. Cy Young finisher. I teased mine. I think Ohtani finishes highest among Dodgers pitchers. So I will go Ohtani, Yoshinobu, and Tyler Glasnow.
I will go Yamamoto, Ohtani, Glasnow.
Okay, I like it. 2 more questions. Let's start with the NL West. Well, 3 more questions, I guess. I assume we are both picking the Dodgers to win the division. Fair?
Yeah, very fair.
Who do you have finishing second, and how big of a gap is there? For context, last year the Dodgers won the division by 3 games, 5 games the year before that, 16 before that, 22 the year before that. Of course, the year before that, they lost the division to the Giants. So who finishes second and how many games?
I've kicked this one around a bunch. This division is not good.
No.
One team I think has gotten a little bit better, the Giants. One team has gotten worse, the Padres. One team is like going to be okay and healthier, which is Arizona. I'm going to say Arizona finishes second.
Okay.
I say that with
I have Arizona as well. I have Arizona. I think they're sneaky. I think they'll be competitive. And I think they're like the safest bet to be second. As crazy as that sounds, I just think the variability of their season doesn't seem like it's that high.
I think they have a second place ceiling and a 4th place floor.
Yeah, I think the Giants, Padres, and Diamondbacks, you could shuffle it up and spit it out. I guess I'm just saying I could see.
The Giants have been right around 500 for like 5 years in a row. Like I think that's where they're going to sit still. I think
all 3 of these teams are going to be around 500.
I think the Padres might be below 500, and I think the Diamondbacks at their floor are like a 79 win team, 75 win team.
So how big is the gap between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, so I'm going to say the Diamondbacks. I'm going to say they go the opposite way and they have a good season. I'm going to say 12 games out.
Okay. I've got 13. So look at that. 13 games for me. I've got, and the second to last question, win total, the over under according to Vegas right now that I could find was 102.5. You had already shared your win total. You're taking the under on 102.5 because you have them winning how many games?
99.
I've got 102. That's going to be the number I settle on. I think they go under 102.5 with 102. And that's why I had 13. Because in my mind, I think whoever gets second, sure, pencil them in for like 89 wins. I think that's best case scenario. And I think the Dodgers win 102, and that's how I get there. So you've got, 99 to 87. So we're in the same ballpark of upper 80s for whoever finishes second. Last question here. World Series title. 3-peat. Yes or no, Anthony?
Yes.
Of course. How could you not? If you had to pick one team today, homer, non-homer, I don't care. You'd be insane not to pick the Dodgers. I have never seen, I think the Dodgers right now are like 2.5 to 1 to win the World Series. I will tell you this. Please do not bet that. Please, for the love, never bet anybody at 2.5 to 1 to win the World Series. Those are atrocious odds. Atrocious odds. Do I think the Dodgers are the most likely team? Of course. Don't bet 2.5 to 1, please. But yes, I've got the Dodgers 3-peating. I think the lineup is awesome. I think the rotation is awesome. I think the organizational depth and guys that they can call up to plug holes is awesome. If they need to make a trade, they can. The bullpen, I'll admit, is slightly concerning at this point, but I think they're going to have the pieces to figure that out, whether it's a River Ryan, a Justin Robleski, and Emmett Sheehan. If any of those guys get moved to the bullpen,
it won't matter in October when Roki's in the bullpen.
Some people are saying. So
if
there you go.
A non-Dodger team to win it all, who do you got?
That is a great question. Who do you like?
I am going to say I do not think it's a National League team. I think the team would come out of the AL.
Okay.
I will say.
So right now, for context, the Yankees are 10-1, Mariners are 12-1, Mets are 13-1, Blue Jays 15-1, and then you've got the Red Sox and Phillies at 16-1, Cubs and Braves at 18-1.
I keep wanting to. I think like subconsciously, I keep wanting to find reasons why they won't. But I think the Mariners.
I love the Mariners. I want the Mariners to win. If it's not the Dodgers, there is not even a close second for teams I would like to see win it, other than the Mariners. Yeah, I mean, looking at like I think the Phillies, they always kind of scare me, and maybe they've got one last run in them with the group of guys that they've assembled. It doesn't feel like that core is going to be there for all that much longer.
Well, they're going to be there for a long time because they all are going to end up on bad contracts. This might be the window's closing for them to win it all, though.
Fair. I'll go with you. I'll go Mariners, Dodgers, Mariners in the World Series. And if I had to pick another team, give me the Mariners. So there they are. There are the 2026 Dodgers bold predictions. We'll circle back on these about halfway through the year and at the end of the year as well.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. Yeah.
All right, let's get to some questions, all caps questions. Throw those in the chat and we will get to those. I like this bold prediction from Aaron. Bold prediction: Tyler Glasnow stays healthy, finishes highest in Cy Young voting for the Dodgers. Look, I'll say this: if Glasnow makes 26 to 28 starts, I think he has it in him. Like, pound for pound, just like on a night, what he's capable of, he's one of the best pitchers in the sport. And not that Yamamoto has looked bad, not that Ohtani has looked bad. They've both been incredible. Glasnow, Dave said it. This is the best version of this guy we've ever seen. So I don't think this is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy, but I could see it. Let me rephrase. It's crazy, but I could see it.
Yeah. The boldness, I think, comes from he's going to have enough innings to be a consideration for this award, right? That's kind of the bold piece, because anytime he's really been healthy, he has been a guy that you look at and you go, that guy can win a Cy Young. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem is Paul Skeens keeps putting up ERAs that start with 1.
Yeah, Paul Skeens is next level. All right, let's get to some questions here. Sam says, is James Tibbs III the best Dodgers prospect? He's not, but he's good.
He is.
He's the most major league ready prospect they have.
He is the most major league ready prospect, and he is the prospect who I think in 2026 contributes the most.
Yeah, unless we're counting River Ryan, who I think technically still qualifies as a prospect. I think those would be the
okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Because River Ryan's already on the board.
Positionally, I think he ends up contributing the most, more than Kim, more than Freeland. I think that Tibbs finds himself enough at bats to really make some sort of positive impact.
Yeah, it's interesting because, to your point, it's just like, unless there is an injury to Pages, Tucker, or Teoscar, there isn't a pathway. However, if one of those guys was going to be out for an extended period of time, with all due respect to Alex Call and Ryan Ward, I think James Tibbs. I mean, Earhart, I think, would be in the mix too. Earhart's been very good as well. So, but Tibbs has been awesome. Let's see. Eden asks, what would be the changes to the rotation if Roki does get sent down? I mean, Robleski would slot in. The question would then be,
Hurt comes up.
Well, and I think the tricky part is they've talked about a 6-man rotation, and currently Robleski is quote unquote the 6th starter when they need it. So is it River Ryan that gets called up? Like, Landon Knack's been pretty bad. So Gavin Stone is hurt. Blake Snell is hurt. So
yeah, I don't think they waste River Ryan in April. I think if that was a serious consideration, they would just bring him up now, I think.
So who would be the sixth starter, do you think? Knack?
They would probably go with like Knack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they hope that he can give them a 4.5 or something like that over, X amount of starts that he's going to make.
Yeah. All right. Nomo Splitter says, would the Dodgers are ruining baseball narrative die down if they don't win the World Series this year? I think it would. And also, I think people are always going to be looking for something to be mad about. And so they'd find something else to be mad about related to the Dodgers. But there's a reason this narrative didn't come up until the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. And it would not be, that narrative would die down because the narrative that would pick up was, you spent all that money and you can't win it all, even though they just won back-to-back World Series. But that would be the narrative. You spent all that money and you didn't win.
Yeah. Tim asks, did you notice that Alex Freeland had 13 walks to 11 strikeouts in spring training, co-led Major League Baseball in walks? The Haesung Kim fans are just changing their minds as we speak.
I haven't gotten to weigh in on this since it happened. I'm okay with this decision. I thought it was going to be Kim. I was a little bit surprised it was Freeland. The answers that they gave were a little bit, I know people are like, oh, it makes sense because they want Kim to play every day. Freeland's going to essentially play just about every day too.
Yeah, strong side of the platoon.
Yeah, he's a strong side of a platoon. That didn't really make a lot of sense to me. And the whole under the hood Freeland stuff looked a lot better.
Well, it didn't look better.
We had the conversation about spring training stats and the sample size and et cetera, et cetera. His chase rate was fine last year too. That kind of stuff was fine last season during the regular season, and he still didn't produce. And so my thing with this is I don't take almost any stock in this in spring training because the guys who are facing you are not game planning to get you out during spring training.
Yeah.
They will be when it counts. There will be a book on Alex Freeland that they will pitch to, and especially if he ends up hitting ninth.
Yeah.
They are not going to be walking you, buddy. You're going to have to hit your way into production.
So I gave Bruce 3 options for why they did this. Option 1 is they want Haesung Kim to get more at-bats, and more at-bats are going to come at Oklahoma City than they are in LA, because even if it is the strong side of a platoon, it's still a platoon. That's option 1. Option 2 is they think Alex Freeland is better than Haesung Kim right now. Option 3 is they think Alex Freeland is better long-term, and they want to develop him, aka kind of the Roki Sasaki argument here. If you had to guess, which of those 3 buckets do you think is the most accurate?
Give me them again real quick.
They want Haesung Kim to play every day. They think Alex Freeland is better than Haesung Kim right now, or they think Alex Freeland is better long-term, and so they want to develop him more.
I think it's 2.
That he's better right now.
Yeah, and there's probably shades of all of them in there.
Yeah.
But I think it's mainly 2. I don't think that they want Kim to play every day. I think it's a lame excuse for why the slash line was better and they didn't choose him. I think that's why they said that, because the slash line was so vastly different. If they were both just bad, I don't think that's what they would have said necessarily. Because again, Freeland and Kim, whoever would have made the Dodgers would have been on the strong side of a platoon and played just about every day anyway.
Yeah.
I think that long term, they might not be sure who it is.
Yeah.
And I think right now, and I said this about Freeland before, I think they gave him a very clear directive about what they wanted to see him do, and he did those things.
Yeah, it's fair.
And so right now, I think they think he's going to give them a better chance in the short term, right? They may say they're probably going to be evaluating this thing on a rolling 10-day basis. It could be.
Do you think so? Or do you think that they made this decision and they say Alex Freeland's going to get 6 weeks?
I don't think that they make a decision. I don't think they send him down, but I think he's going to be constantly being evaluated as, okay, after Edman gets back, are you still around here?
Yeah.
Because Kim offers them things as a bench player that are more valuable to the current roster than Freeland does.
Oh, for sure.
And so once Edman is back, I think then a decision ends up being, okay, who is actually better now with this roster? And that answer might be Kim, unless Freeland goes off.
Well, I don't think either of them are. I mean, the reality is Edman replaces Freeland on the roster. unless Espinal is a disaster, I don't think either of those guys is on the roster when Edman comes back.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something like, maybe they don't like what Espinal is giving them or something like that. Like, it could be that both of those guys are gone.
Kike is going to be in the mix at some point, a little later in the season, but that's another bench spot they're going to have to find.
Yeah.
So, Jay asks, what stat lines for Sasaki would make you confident in him? And is this a bold prediction? Dalton Rushing is gone at some point this year. He won't succeed at the majors as a backup to Smith. Yeah, Rushing getting traded, I think, would be a bold prediction. Because trades just don't happen that often, and the Dodgers don't have a backup planet catcher. And Dalton Rushing is like a well-regarded prospect, or at least was across the league, 12 months ago. But what would you need to see from Sasaki to feel like significantly better, Anthony, on Monday? Like, is it simply the walk number? Like, if it's 7 hits, 5 earned in 3 innings, but he walks 1, are you fine? Not fine, but like you feel better?
I think it's a step in the right direction. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
For me, it's basically not just the walk number, but yeah, the command of that fastball. Like, is he able to throw it for strikes? Which obviously could translate into walks, but it also could not. So yeah, like if he goes 3 1/3, and he gives up 4 runs and he strikes out 6 and he walks 1, it's not a great start, but it could be a great start to him making progress in the right direction.
I'll say 4 innings. 4 innings would be like, if he can genuinely get through 4 innings, then I would feel better the next time he had to take the mound.
Yeah, and for me, it's for me, like I what you're saying is fair. For me, those 4 innings come from, can he not walk guys?
100%. All these things are related. Yeah. Nick says, who said I got his name right, just wants to be called Nick, not Nicholas. Who is the backup center fielder with Kim in AAA? Alex Call, or would they bring up Siani? Call if it is a Pajes off day, and Siani if Pajes gets hurt. Yeah, I think Call is the backup center fielder right now, for sure. If Pajes were to get hurt, then I think that's where an interesting conversation. Siani's on the 40-man roster, so sense, and I don't think they want Alex Call playing center field every day. So
I don't think they don't want Siani hitting every day either.
Yeah, fair. And Kim is probably the best total combination package option they have out there, given all those things. But they've also seemed to make clear that like they don't think he's fully arrived defensively as a center fielder either. So I think Siani or Kim, I don't think either of those moves would necessarily totally surprise me.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the playing every day thing that they said about Kim would, I think, hold a lot more water if he's going to get 2 starts a week in center field for Oakland.
Which they said is going to happen. They've said they're going to be able to start him at second, at short, and at center, kind of a thing.
That would start to make a lot more sense, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Final Boss said, what happened to all the articles a few years ago that said baseball was dying? The Dodgers saved Major League Baseball. I'm not going to say the Dodgers single-handedly did. I think they're the best team, and they've been part of back-to-back World Series, which have been absolute epics that have dragged baseball back into relevance. I think the World Baseball Classic took that baton and ran with it. Like, baseball is in a much better place now, for sure. And I'll be honest, like, I didn't see this coming. Like, all the people saying baseball was dying, they weren't wrong. Like, baseball went and made some pretty dramatic changes to the way the game happens. The pitch clock and all that kind of stuff that, like, I think people thought was crazy when they were suggesting at the time. And so I don't know, kudos to Major League Baseball. And definitely, I think the Dodgers, if we're going to point to a franchise, deserve most of the credit for sure. I mean, Ohtani as a player, like that, it doesn't hurt to have the greatest player of all time at the peak of his powers either.
Yeah, I don't agree that baseball was dying. They were setting attendance records. Revenue was growing every year over year. I think when people were comparing it to the NBA and the NFL, which are 2 completely different entities, then it looks different. Baseball is a localized sport. Yeah. The NBA is national, and football is basketball is global. Yeah. And the NFL is national. And baseball is local. You cannot compare a local sport to a national juggernaut like that and expect to get similar numbers. They're going to look very different. It's all relative to who you are and what your product is.
Yeah.
And how your product is distributed to the audience. Baseball's is very different in that way from both of those other sports. And
it might not be for long for some of these teams.
Might not be for long. Sure. Yeah, if baseball has its way. I think the Dodgers have done a lot to put a rocket up the backside of the sport and propel it into a new stratosphere.
Yeah.
One that probably baseball hasn't really seen since McGuire versus Sosa.
Yeah.
And maybe like the Yankee three-peat. Dynasties sell, regardless of what people say about hating them. Dynasties sell. When the Warriors in the NBA were winning their championships, ratings and interest for the NBA and Steph Curry as a face of the franchise went through the roof. You look at football. Football's just dynasties for the most part.
Yeah.
Baseball doesn't get to have those very often. And now that it has one, the Dodgers are the only franchise in this sport capable of taking this sport and putting in front of non-baseball fans and forcing them to have interest in this. Shohei Ohtani is a big reason for that too.
Yeah.
If he chases a Cy Young and an MVP this season, the national coverage of that is going to be crazy. It will be very much like Sammy Sosa versus Mark McGwire. It'll be on things like Good Morning America. It will cross over. And the interest in the WBC this year, Jeff and I watched it, and we are not the biggest WBC fans.
Totally.
That came off of the back of what the Dodgers are doing right now.
Yeah.
Interest in the Dodgers was very high, and Major League Baseball and the WBC played that into interest for that tournament.
Yeah. I don't want to turn this into a long conversation. The only thing I would ask you is, because I agree with you that the business model of baseball is totally different. Like, the Dodgers are selling a local TV package. Nobody in, Chicago cares about what the Dodgers do on a Tuesday night. I don't care what the Phillies do on a Thursday night. Right. I guess my only pushback and question would be, baseball used to be more national than it is. So like when people were saying it was dying, I think it's fair to have the nuance of saying like the national level interest in baseball was dying, is dying, has died. I don't know. While the local was always going to be strong enough to make it so that the sport never really died. It's just part of it did.
Well, that decline coincided with the NFL's rise and the NBA's rise. So baseball was never truly national, but it was seen as
100 years ago it was, but
well, there was no NFL 100 years ago. So it was the only game in town. If you're the only game in town, then you're going to be national. But like even in like, let's say the early 90s.
Yeah.
Before the strike, baseball was the game. Right. It was America's game.
It was leading Sports Center on ESPN.
It was leading Sports Center, right? Like, the Nike was doing national spots for Ken Griffey Jr. for president, and like, those kinds of, Chicks Dig the Long Ball, that whole campaign. Like, they were doing national campaigns around baseball, not basketball, not Michael Jordan, not football, not Walter Payton. And as the NFL became what the NFL has become, baseball had to take a back seat.
Yeah.
And then as the NBA became more global, baseball dropped again. Because at the end of the day, regardless, baseball plays every day. To get national interest like that every day, where your stars aren't like Mike Trout. I had used this example in a column before. Mike Trout, at the peak of Mike Trout being Mike Trout.
Yeah. One of the best players of all time.
One of the best players ever to play baseball. In his prime, winning MVP after MVP. Had like 10% of the social media followers that a guy like Kyle Kuzma had.
Yeah. Kuzma was sick for the Lakers, by the way.
But you know what I mean? Like a friend.
Right. There was no branding happening for baseball.
Right. And so like, but that had always been baseball since, like, as we know it, like modern baseball since the NFL has been the NFL and the NBA has been the NBA. That's where baseball has sort of sat. So I think you're right. It's a good question in that, like, when did that start to happen? Because baseball once was the national game. But once fantasy stuff started to come into football, and like it dwarfed what Major League Baseball has, because it's very hard to get excited about a game that is played every day.
Yeah. For sure.
Like for a casual.
Yeah. All right, couple quick ones. Jake says, fill in the blank. Dodgers traded for blank at the deadline to fill a hole. You're going starting pitching?
Yes.
I don't know what other second base. I don't know what the other option is. Obviously, if there's an injury at third base, there would probably be a need there. If there's an injury at shortstop, there would be a need there. I think there's a few positions there's no depth at.
There would also have to be somebody worth trading for that's available
totally.
at that position too.
Totally. I'll say relief pitcher. Always need more relief pitchers. Give me a relief pitcher. One food question coming. This is fair. TQT. If Jeff told us to trust the organization with Kim and Freeland, then why is he questioning the Roki one? I posted this on social media. I think it's a totally fair critique of what I said, because I was laughing at all of the Kim stuff, saying, whatever, and saying, trust the Dodgers. They know what they're doing. And then I'm here criticizing Roki and the decision to have him in there. So all on this one. This one's on me. I think there's slightly different situations, but not enough to justify it. So that's on me. I'll raise my hand and say I'm sorry, because I should have done better on that one. Dong with the last question here. Which Dodger food deal are Jeff and Anthony most and least likely to use this season? I have never tried the free AM PM hot dog for a stolen base. I honestly, we've got Jumbo Jacks. What other food deals? The Panda Express deal, right?
Yeah, the Panda one is back. $7 now.
What else? What are other options here? Do you know?
I don't. Aside from the Panda one, I don't really know.
Okay. The Panda, apparently the $7 plate that was just recently announced today or yesterday. So
yeah, like today or yesterday. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out if there's another. I don't know. I don't see any other. Sure, AM PM free hot dog. You get a free hot dog for a stolen base? Probably not. I'm not a big Jumbo Jack guy. I'm not driving there, so I guess it's the Panda plate. But I don't live in Southern California, so I'm not allowed to get any of these.
I guess if I had to pick out of those, probably Panda.
Yeah, sounds good. Would you eat an AM PM hot dog if you were hungry and it was in front of you?
And it was free? Sure.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, there we go. On that note, that'll do it for us.
Did you hear though, Jeff, before we go on a food topic, there is a watermelon, a spicy watermelon margarita.
I saw this. I'm in. Yeah, I said would. Yeah.
I told Bruce I was buying him one.
Okay, tell Bruce. Yeah, well, if somebody gets an extra and one of those little igloo coolers happens to be available, send it. Yeah, that looks good. $27. What are you dropping per on those though is the problem. I had somebody in my mention saying it was $27.
I believe it. Yeah, it would have to be a double because that one little thimble of tequila is not going to be enough for me.
The cooler thing is sweet though. So
yeah,
shout out. Cool. So if anybody gets a back-to-back World Series champs hoodie that they want to send up to your boy, I'll pay for shipping. And if anybody gets a little igloo thing at Jeff Spiegel on social media, hit me up. That's the saddest part. I say it every year. The giveaways, that stuff is so cool, and I just have literally no access to it up here in Portland. So anyways, we appreciate everybody. We're at the hour and 40-minute mark. Was not expecting that, but a fun one as always. Anthony, I appreciate you. Anthony and I will be back Thursday live for a post-game show, so that'll be good stuff. We might have a special guest doing a recorded spot for tomorrow. I was trying to text that person. We were tentatively scheduled to record tomorrow, so stay tuned. We might have a video for you tomorrow, which would be awesome. But if not, it'll be me, Anthony, and I back with you on Thursday night, so that'll be good. You can catch Anthony over on Lakers Nation from time to time. Any Lakers games you got on your schedule?
Yeah, I'm doing post-game with Trevor on Lakers Nation tomorrow after the game.
Okay, there you go. Wednesday night. Check that stuff out. As always, folks, check out DodgerBlue.com, DodgerBlue1958. If you're new, subscribe, ring the notification bell right here on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.